How does that
I'm
look?
I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
My brother. So every year in March, I usually take a couple days off of Fast Money and do something. What do I usually do?
You go to Florida for spring training. You make a pilgrimage with
It's
some of your crew.
yes, we call it the Grapefruit League. By the way, Grapefruit League or Cactus League? What
Grapefruit League, 100%.
yeah.
It's always Florida to me. That Cactus League out west, it's like it doesn't even exist. It's always been Florida from ever since Pride of the Yankees when Lou Gehrig talks about taking his wife to Florida for spring training. It is Florida.
So by the way, have you been to Legends Field in Tampa?
Have not, but I'm
So
sure. Listen, what's interesting about Legends Field is that's where the Yankees play in the spring.
yeah,
My
yes.
my sense is that that is 10 times the facility that Shea Stadium in Flushing is.
I don't know why you had to go there. But I'll go to the place that you'd expect me to go, which is that the Yankees once again have managed to suck the life out of just a simple game, which is baseball. And they've built a mausoleum down there, similar to the one that they built up in Bronx after they tore down a great stadium, which was the old Yankee Stadium, and put up this industrial park. So anyway, Legends Field in Tampa, don't go see it. Go see the Rays right nearby. Jays are in Dunedin. The Phils are in Lakeland. The Tigers at the Joker Marchant Stadium. That might be Lakeland. Tigers spring training site might be one of the best ones in baseball. And by the way, I don't think we're going to have baseball this year. All right. So
Whoa.
if you listen to a little, I mean, so, look, I'm sure there's a lot of people with a big yawn and be like, what's baseball? I don't even care. And that's kind of the point. We're at a place where baseball as our national pastime is never been in a position to suffer through a work stoppage more than they are right now. I don't think I'm going to spring training this year, man. Out.
That is for you to say that is, I mean, you're putting down the gauntlet. But my question is, why do you have a picture of Steve Garvey behind you?
Because look, Garvey was just he was a staple of the mid '70s teams that were basically in the playoffs. It's not Steve Garvey. Come on, man. Doesn't even look like Steve Garvey. In fact, that bowl cut could only be one guy. I mean, and I'm not here to talk about people's appearance because we're nice guys, but I mean, Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle, again, maybe one of the greatest baseball players of all time. He's not Babe Ruth. He's probably not Lou Gehrig. But if you were going to build a team, Pete Rose, for a lot of different reasons, might be the first or second player you drafted.
It's interesting. I think he finished his career with 4,256 hits. That's off the top of my head. If I'm wrong, please don't at me.
That's pretty good.
But listen,
pretty good.
I was never a big Pete Rose fan. My sense is Ray Fosse was not a big Pete Rose fan either.
No.
I just didn't like his whole shtick.
Ray Fosse was the director of
Chicago,
was a big Broadway show.
Chicago. He did a chorus line, did a few things, and then on the side, he was a catcher for the Cleveland Indians, which is going to be renamed this year. I don't. It's really bad. I used to be on top of this stuff. Do you know what the new name of the former Cleveland Indians is going to be?
Look, I appreciate the fact that there's a fresh look at nicknames, names, and so a lot of franchises are redoing this. The last time I heard what they were thinking about, though, was ghastly. I don't know what it was, but it was certainly something. Like I kind of think the Washington Football Club's kind of cool, but I don't know. I don't know what the tribe's doing, but I do think that Bob Fosse, was not Ray Fosse. Ray Fosse was the guy that Pete Rose ran over in an all-star game. Again, basically an exhibition, but the kind of gamer that didn't care and basically ended this guy's career or he was never the same player again. By the way, if you do a side-by-side, same time in the era of sports, Pete Rose and Jimmy Connors, you've never seen them both in the same place at the same time. Yeah, you heard it here. I'm telling you, those two guys, first of all, same haircut.
And two of the more unlikable athletes of that era. So those Big Red Machine teams were crazy. And I know we play this game a lot on commercial break
I can
as
do
well.
this.
I know you can start. Yeah, I know you can. I know you can. And I'm setting it up for you. Sort of rattle me off some of those guys.
All right. So the toughest one right there is my first baseman, but Tony Perez, Joe Morgan at second base, Davey Concepcion at third, Davey Concepcion at shortstop, Pete Rose at third, my center fielder, Ken Griffey. No, my center fielder, Cesar Geronimo. My right fielder was Ken Griffey. And behind the dish.
Great job.
Johnny
Bench.
Who's behind the dish?
Johnny Bench. Come on, you know that.
You know what? I got to get out of here.
You just had a moment.
I can't believe I missed
that. That's the first guy you name. I mean, but listen, well done, Dan Dreesen, by the way, also on that squad. You nailed it. Give me some of the pitchers because if memory serves, Pat Zachary. I know you know that name as a Met fan.
Oh, dude, the Pat Zachary was a key element of the Tom Seaver trade, which was one of the darkest days in New York sports history. Tom Seaver, one of the great guys, but one of the best pitchers of all time. There's no disputing that. And again, so the reason why Pete's over my shoulder is because Pete was banned from the game in 1991 by an Abe Bartlett Giamatti, who I think was probably the last great commissioner of baseball, a guy who presided over the game, who protected the integrity of the game. We've had a couple jokers since then, and I won't single them out, but including the guy right now that's running the game into the ground. So Bartlett Giamatti basically said that, learned that Pete Rose was betting on baseball games. And Pete Rose was banned for life. So arguably a top five, let's just not try to do too much work on this. One of the top five greatest players of all time of Major League Baseball is denied entrance into the hallowed halls of Cooperstown. Is that appropriate?
I think it is. And now people will say this. Well, wait a second, guy. You're talking about Pete Rose being banned for something that now all professional sports embraces in the form of gambling. And I totally get that. But I don't necessarily think you can equate the two. And I'll say why. Pete Rose was betting on games that he was a part of. He was a manager of.
Yes.
Now, people will say that he only bet on his teams to win. Okay, that's fine, except that the games that he didn't bet, it stands to reason that he thought they were going to lose. It's just so problematic that I'm with the decision of the then commissioner of baseball. And I think he should be banned. And until he comes clean, I think he should remain banned. But the advent of sports betting is what we're here to talk about in terms of the stocks, because you can't go 5 minutes without hearing a commercial for one of those sites.
No, it's out of hand. And if you think about it, think about also there was a reason why Las Vegas never had any professional sports teams, right? Because they were so close to the sports books. So the fact that Las Vegas is now turning into one of the great sports towns. Give them credit. That Golden Knights team, by the way, expansion year, was one of the best teams in hockey. The Raiders in Vegas, I think, is a nice fit. And they're about to have a baseball team. But the fact of the matter is, betting on professional sports is going to save a couple of these leagues. And I know that's a crazy concept, but I tell you what, the question really is, as we talk about, again, stocks that have been big winners, and they've been some losers of late, but again, a DraftKings, a Penn Gaming, and even some of the Golden Nuggets and some of the other plays to have exposure to sports betting. Those are stories that are secular investment themes that I think are going nowhere. And I'm going to say one step further. I'm going to argue that sports betting may in fact save a couple of these networks, a couple of these media companies, because again, the interactivity of watching a game, being able to bet on it, the engagement factor, the same engagement that a lot of companies and media companies are trying to get or sought after, is exactly what sports betting is going to give them.
It was just a few years ago that Disney, the stock, was floundering around $100 a share, going nowhere while the broader market was going higher. And the lifesaver they got, in my opinion, was when the announcement that sports betting was going to be legalized. And from that point on, the stock has been basically straight up. And I think in large part due to that. Obviously, there's some other factors as well. But your point about saving networks, I think you're spot on.
It's an exciting time. I'm in.
Listen, I'm not a Pete Rose fan. I am a baseball fan. I hope we do have baseball in the spring. But one thing I can guarantee, Tim, whether there's baseball or not, there will be commercial break. And where can the folks find us?
They can find us every night, thereabouts 6 p.m., walking around the airports, bars, lounges, newsstands. We're there. I'm Tim Seymour, your guy Adami, and we're
commercial break.